All right, so hello everyone and welcome to our first informational webinar. My name is Alex Soto. I am currently the CEO of Future Fitness, which is the distribution partner for iMotion, an EMS manufacturer. Today we're lucky enough to be joined here by two very knowledgeable EMS professionals, and we'll dive into their stories soon here. So pretty much the goal of our call today is to dive into the inner workings on EMS, what exactly is whole body EMS training, what an EMS training session consists of, and then later we'll also share some value with you guys on how to start an EMS business, how to scale an EMS business, and yeah, just give you an overview on all this field. So today we have here with us Kirk Sanderson. He's an EMS master trainer, and he's also the previous manager of the first EMS studio in California. And we also have Jemima Steinhardt. She is a former owner of a franchise of EMS studios in Dubai, and she's currently now running her own EMS consulting business. So I'll share the word with you guys and have you explain a little bit more in detail your background. So why don't we start with you, Kirk? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Kirk Sanderson, and I was based in Los Angeles, California. And I'm originally a sports performance coach in the area, specializes in NBA and NFL pre-draft and strength and conditioning with high school kids. And when I was moving over to West LA, I got a call from a guy who he said he had an interest in technology and would love for me to try it. So he invited me down to the studio in Santa Monica and suited me up in equipment and sprayed the equipment with water, and it was unlike any experience I've ever had before with training. Typically, when you go into a spin class, we've all ridden a bike, we've all had some sort of resistance training, but I've never had experienced involuntary contraction, something else controlling my muscles like that before. And ever since that day, I've been hooked. I really believe in the technology. I've seen the benefits of the technology. I've looked at the results over time and just it's the list of benefits is really long. And after that first session, I was sore the next day, but the following day, I was like, oh, wow. And, after having experiences with weight training before, I can just tell that I was even able to make those neural connections to deeper muscle fibers and even flex a little harder. It just felt overall stronger. And and since I started training at the studio, it was the first EMS studio in California where it had an FDA approved machine, and I consistently seen clients. We kept in between 50 and 70 clients under contract up until COVID. And with a studio like that, when it's high traffic, you were able to see multiple demographics. We're ranging from 18 years old to my oldest client was 85. And they were all able to do the workout and take advantage of the benefits of the EMS. We also used the Embody 770, which reads the body composition, and just seeing the body fat percentage just drop down, and the symmetry, which in right to left side, even out, and just clients just overall feeling better, and it was just a great experience just meeting that, and just people with different fitness backgrounds. You had entertainers, you had people who lived a sedentary lifestyle, business professionals who were really strapped for time. And one thing about EMS is it's just such you're giving people their time back. That's one thing we can't buy. And with EMS training, we're giving them back their time. So after the pandemic, I went out and purchased my own equipment, and this equipment was wireless, and it just opened the playbook to training. It wasn't no anymore where I had to coach around the machine and jump over wires. It was I could use the training that I've had and the other certifications I had and incorporate the right settings for whatever the client needs. And it just opened the playbook. And ever since then, I've been training out on my own and just exposing as many people to EMS as I can, and always willing to talk about the technology and just keeping the same enthusiasm about it as I did 4 years ago. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I mean, it is a very new concept in the United States. It is a very established fitness concept already in Europe, in South America. And we'll explain Jemima's also experience because she's been in the field for quite some years. So, well, yeah, tell us a little bit about your experience with EMS and yourself.
Hi everyone, like I'm so happy to be here. First of all, yeah, my name is Jemima, and I am born and raised I'm German. I'm from Germany, and that's where I actually did my first EMS session. And my motive was I wanted to become a personal trainer because of my own story. I come from a family dealing with a lot of health issues due to, wrong eating habits. My dad is a diabetic. My grandmother died of diabetes. And so I grew up like quite unhealthy, like obese, dealt with a lot of like related issues like allergies, etc. And then when I start changing my own lifestyle, I just wanted to share that and help others. And then in that process, someone told me and said, "Hey, there's this new technology. You got to try it out." And it was
Sorry
2009.
to
So
interrupt here. When was this again? How long?
2000,
2009?
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bit it's quite a time ago, and I remember it like yesterday, because when I tried EMS, I couldn't sleep for 3 nights because I was so excited. My brain was just like, oh my God, all these opportunities, like how it's going to change this world. I thought it's going to be faster, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't thought that, like after 13 years, we're still being like, hey, it's still new, guys. But I learned that, throughout my career, especially, and we talk about this later about the business building, that, like I hear someone said, like an overnight success takes an average a decade, right? And I think something like EMS, what is such a powerful technology, is definitely going to take more time. Um, and I think I'm figured out during the years why it's like that. But yeah, so that was my first encounter. And I started operating. So I opened my first EMS gym in 2010, in the beginning of 2010. And it was amazing. Like, I mean, I was definitely the thing, like one of these like I come not from a like big city like Los Angeles, and I come from a small town called Wuppertal in Germany. We have like 300,000 citizens.
Mhm.
And but I was the hot topic. Everyone would talk about like this crazy lady who does electroshocks. And but it was amazing because I signed up like over 150 clients in the first 3 months, and I became really successful with that. And then the first competitors came, and I was just like constantly trying to understand what I need to do in order to grow that business. And I was so thrilled and enthusiastic. I really wanted everyone to get to know like this tool. And my big dream was I wanted to become the McDonald's for EMS. I was like obsessed. Like I can really say that today. I was obsessed with that. And then I just want to make this story short. But my story was that I actually had a huge success story with someone in my gym who was an Arab who lost 120 pounds with me with EMS, so 60 kgs, approximately.
What period of time?
Sorry?
In what period of time did he lose that
With
weight? A year?
yeah, within like it was like 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where the idea was born, where he said, hey, listen, um, in Dubai, they have money and they deal with a lot of obesity. I think that's a spot for you to go. So I started EMS in Dubai, and then I stayed in total for 7 years in Dubai,
Oh, wow.
building up the business. In total, operated at my peak 10 operations myself. There were like everything from home service, shop and shops, flagship centers, franchise, distributed, and my big dream was always the United States. Like, I have to say that here, I'm a huge USA fan. Like, since I'm small, I fell in love with peanut butter, I think when I was 3 or 4 years old. And I was always an US fan, simply because I love how the US does customer service and how you guys know how to scale businesses. I just think it's so attractive. And that was always my passion. I always chased, okay, how can we automate this? How can we scale that? How can we do a good customer service? And that's why my dream was always the US. And yeah, then, like, plans got changed and things happen in life. And in 2019, I actually arrived in the US, on the other side in Miami. And then my plan was definitely to start working in the US. And then COVID happened. And then during COVID, my husband said to me, Jemima, you have so much experience about, like, not only EMS training, but the business side of it. Why don't you start an EMS mastermind? And that's what I did. I just tried in this whole lockdown time, to come up with something that I wished I had. And that is, like, simply, like, helping EMS trainers, helping anyone who wants to get involved to understand, if you want to serve your EMS client, what do I need to know, and what do I need to do in order to not only give a great training and results, but also how to have a great business model.
Exactly.
And that is so, in short version, what I'm doing today, just trying to help, like, really trainers around the globe, helping them establishing their EMS business and being there for them, and sharing what I know, because there were a lot of obstacles on the way.
Yeah, I know that for a fact, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
It's so worth it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. I'm so excited to dive into this. So let's get started. Okay, so what exactly is whole body EMS training? Because I get a lot of DMs, emails, people asking me, what is that thing that you're doing with that suit? Like, how does it work? What does it do? So we'll do our best to explain that, but I have to say it is technology and an equipment that you definitely have to try in order to understand it fully. Um, so basically what whole body EMS training is, it is a type of training in which you wear a full body suit, and that suit emits electrical impulses targeting the major muscle groups throughout your entire body. So what these impulses do, they create involuntary muscle contractions, and they engage over 90% of the muscle fibers of the body while you're doing the workout. So just to put things into perspective, during a conventional workout, us as human beings were able to voluntarily engage between 50 and 60% of our muscle fibers. With EMS, you're able to reach a lot deeper into these muscle fibers, and you're able to engage over 90% of those muscle fibers. So it's not like you're carrying out very complex exercises. You pretty much just carry out and perform very basic functional exercises, but with the help of the suit that is emitting these electrical impulses simultaneously throughout your entire body. it really intensifies the difficulty of these exercises, and also the energy output required to perform these exercises. So just to get into more specific details, during an EMS session, you're able to contract over 350 muscles simultaneously. So there is not really any other training method, at least today, in which you can be so efficient in such a short period of time. Because EMS sessions, they tend to last between 20-25 minutes. But as you're working your entire body throughout that entire time at such a deep and intense level, those 25 minutes are actually equal to a 3-4 hour conventional workout. So, and it's honestly, it is for everybody, because there's every single workout can be tailored to each individual's need. Regardless if you're a 20-year-old athlete, if you're an 80-year-old person just looking to get some movement in, there's a wide range of settings, intensities, and training protocols that you can use for in each specific case. Um, and yeah, so it's pretty much for everybody. It's the most efficient workout that there is out there. It is designed depending on what your goals are, but it can be used to lose fat, to gain muscle, to increase your endurance if you're an athlete, to increase your cardiovascular capacity, build strength. Even in the physical therapy space, it is very, very beneficial because it is a 100% low impact workout. So for those of you who might have some chronic back pain, like I have myself, or some joint pain, so it is also very customizable in this aspect. And I'll just share my story because I used to play tennis at a pretty competitive level. I played some professional tournaments. Then I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to play Division 1 tennis in college here in the United States. And during my first year of college, I actually my first couple of months, I had a very serious back injury. I had a couple of herniated discs. I had a stress fracture, and it was pretty much a degenerative condition. So from that point, I was not really able to go into a gym, get put 150 to 100 pounds on my back and start like squatting. I was not able to tolerate much impact. I could not go for a 40-minute run without hurting the next day. So once I came in contact with EMS and I tried a session, that completely changed my life because I'm a very active person. I'm a very athletic person. I love working out. But since I had that condition, there was no other way for me to get an intense strength workout without putting that stress on my body. So that in my personal case, that helped me a lot, and that's pretty much the main reason why I wanted to get into this field, because I see the potential. I've seen how much it has helped myself and how much it helps other people around the world. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much an overview of what EMS is. But I want to let Kirk explain to you guys because he's performed thousands of EMS workouts on many different people. So Kirk, I just want you to explain to us pretty much what does an EMS session entail from the time the customer walks in the studio until they leave. For example, in your case, in the studio, you were working at
Oh,
training people. What that did that process look like?
oh, okay. We have them walk in the studio. We kept our undergarments inside the studio. The clients, some of them clients own their own undergarments. So with EMS, the electrodes, we don't go skin to skin contact. We always allow the electrodes to be placed under the undergarments. And usually it's most workout shirts and shorts, they're made to get rid of moisture. And with EMS, you want to hold moisture because water conducts electricity and helps the muscle contract during the session. So they would walk into the studio, and for our intake process, we would have them get on the InBody 770, just so we had a record of how they walked in the studio and we could track their results through, you know, the contract or their sessions at the studio. So once they were suited in the undergarments and I spray down the equipment with water, you know, I make sure that it fits well and the electrodes are laying flat on the body. We suit them up. We hook them up to the machine, and we find, you know, their tolerance. You know, we have everybody, you know, just as like anybody else, all bodies are different. You know, based on body composition, the settings are going to be different. So once we find out, you know, their tolerance to EMS, I like to tell them that you're supposed to feel tension in the muscle. It should feel like a mild cramp. I need to see some type of resistance from their body. And I usually start off with one body part, usually upper body, and work their way down to their legs. And once I find that tolerance, you know, we start off with more of an isolation movement, curls, presses, pulls. And then we get into more dynamic movements, compound movements where you're using one or two body parts. And we give them a great workout. You know, based on their session, you don't want to, you know, turn the machine up or get them to where they are turned off, because it is such a new experience. But you want to give them a great workout. And then after the session, we either have a relaxation period, a cool down period where the machine gives you a massage. You always want to have the client, it's an intense workout, but you want to have like their last memory of the session being a relaxing, calm period of the training. So then after that, unhook them from the machine, take off the equipment, they're in and they're out. And we were getting the people out within 30 to 40 minutes.
So
And
from
training
the time they walk in to the time they walk out, that was a 40-minute period.
40-minute period, in and out of the studio, off to enjoy their day in Los Angeles, right by the beach.
So, okay, so you also mentioned you would get a lot of different sort of customers that were in very different physical conditions, different age. So how would you tailor or customize those workouts depending on that person?
Oh, depending on the person, like the older clients, not as much as a dynamic movement were involved in, where I wouldn't have them jumping or doing like a lunge. I love some of them lunges, but I would basically, once you get a feel for that client, you want to start off with, you know, just basic exercises, and then open the playbook once you learn how they move after doing so. And then if I have an athlete, then that's when the playbook is wide open. We can work endurance. We can go turn the machine up to 80 to 100 hertz and just work strength. But of course, you want to have the rest period to where the muscles and the cells get enough time to recover, so the muscles can get full action potential. Sometimes you'll see a client jump and then, you know, and really let the machine do it and show its potential. And, you know, and it's such a new concept. And I'm so married to EMS. I always want to earn the respect of really high level athletes when they come in to say, oh, okay, this is not a gimmick. This is not a fad. This is the real deal. This is serious workout. So definitely let them know that, and just really dial the machine in based on their need and their, you know, their experience in athletics or their experience in the gym.
Exactly. But yeah, and I think there's definitely a misconception in some cases, because I have been like giving demos or working events at different gyms. And when I'm working out with someone, I get people approach me like very young and athletic individuals, and they don't really seem to believe that. What do you mean, like a 20-25 minute workout, that carrying out those very basic movements, that how is that even a workout? And I'm like, well, just try it, and let me know what you think after. And there hasn't been a single time when I've encountered these situations that the person trying it has not fallen in love with the system and the technology, because again, it's so efficient, and it doesn't necessarily need to be your only means of training. It works great as a complement for, again, in this case, professional athletes. Obviously, they have their structured fitness routine, so you're not going to expect them just to do a 25-minute workout twice a week. But as a
Right.
complement, again, it is an incredible tool, and you can definitely get a lot out of it.
Just like I like to say that, EMS, it's gonna, whatever your goal is, it's gonna help you get there faster. It's like instead of taking um, a regular airplane to Los Angeles, you're taking a private jet. It's just way more efficient. You're gonna get to your goal a lot faster, and it's just efficient. And once you have a client that you've trained over a certain period of time, they see exactly what you're talking about, and
Exactly.
they're hooked.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that was a quick rundown on what EMS is from a customer standpoint. But I also wanted to touch base with Jemima, again, super experienced in this field, on how exactly it works. How does it work to start a EMS business? How you can scale that? And honestly, how to create your own successful EMS business. So you told us a little bit about your experience, your background with EMS when you got started, but I would like you to dive deeper into what was it like exactly to open your first EMS business. Those first 3 months of opening, like I'm sure at times you had no idea what you were doing and you were just figuring it out. And then also, how were you able to scale that? Not only have a successful EMS studio, but be able to open a franchise and 10 more studios with the level of success that you had.
Thank you so much. It's so much fun talking to you, by the way. So much. I hear it today. Like I think Tony Robbins said, proximity is power. And when you get together with like-minded people and people who are passionate about the same thing that you, I just can feel it right now because I'm working today remote and currently we're living in the Dominican Republic, and I don't get to meet professionals every day. I mean, online, but especially it's so fun, just to have this, to do this call. I just wanted to say that. So it's so interesting because when I started, I had no idea like how, like the how was, there was no how. I just I just knew why. I just knew why I wanted to do it because, like I said earlier, I was convinced. I thought it's gonna be a game changer. It's gonna change, like it's gonna change the world. It's gonna change people's life. It makes the athlete better. It's gonna help the elderly people, with mobility. It's gonna help the whole people that suffer from obesity with weight loss. Like, I mean, there are so many niches out there where EMS can just work its miracles. And I had no doubt, and I was so enthusiastic about it. And the biggest factor for me, because I was always entrepreneurial, like I was always business driven. But for me, the most valuable thing that I could give anyone is time. It's the most valuable thing you can give anyone, and with EMS, no brainer. And when I was sitting down and wrote like my own EMS concept called My 30 Minutes, and I founded that company, and I started my first business plan and trying to figuring out how I can get the loan to build that first studio. I just saw one thing straight away, and that was it's a win-win for anyone involved. No one can actually lose in this business when it's done right. The client wins because you're saving the client so much time, and you're making them better. The people that we get on board building these teams, like these trainers, like still today, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think also in the US, I did some research, is like, it's not a very attractive economically job to be a personal trainer. Like not everyone can fully live on like of it. There's still a lot of passion people out there still do it because out of passion, but it's still an industry that is not really developed. Or put it in other words, like the fitness industry or the health, however you want to like name it, we still like are behind the big corporate world, in other industries that are so developed, right? So for me, when I saw that, I was like, wow, this is such an opportunity for trainers. That's such an opportunity for people, like for trainers to start their own business and to have like a career opportunity. So when I saw that, I was just like, I knew why. I didn't know how, because simply like, see, back in 2009, back in 2010, there was mainly no EMS studios that you could refer to. So when I went to the bank and asked for a loan, they were like, what? Like, what? You want to sell a 10 session package for 500 euros? And again, I'm not coming from LA, New York, Dubai. I'm coming from a city called Wuppertal. Now you know the city. And like I remember the bankiers, they looked at me, she's like, she's crazy, like, no. And so I had struggled, like I struggled like a lot because I wouldn't get the loan. I went to through, I think, some of the pain stuff that maybe a lot of young entrepreneurs go through. How do I get a loan? How do I get the investment to do that? How do I get clients? I remember I was scared. How do I sign up even the first 10 clients? Because I was passionate about something, but I didn't have acquisition skills. I didn't even know what this word means, right? So but that's something that I'm trying to give away today when people face obstacles early on in their entrepreneurship, where I'm telling them, listen, you don't have to figure out the how right away. The most important is that you have your why to guide you through the obstacles. Because entrepreneurship and building something like this requires from you like a certain strength to keep going, and most importantly, not quitting. So long story short, every bank in town turned me down, said, no, like, we're not giving you the loan. We don't understand the concept. We don't know what EMS is. So I started off actually by my last call was my dad. And he said, actually, I can't give it to you. It's our retirement money. What if something goes wrong? Then what we gonna do? But then the next day he called me back and said, you know what? I believe in what you're doing, and I give you that money. And that's how I started. And in the beginning, it was like every single person that I knew, I would just book them in for trial session. I would do like trials. And a lot of the stuff that I did in the beginning, I did it out of intuition. Like, honestly, because back then there was no academy you could go to there. I was one of the first ones even sitting at an EMS certification. It was nothing like we have today. There was not really a lot of education available specific for the EMS business. So it was a lot of my stuff was trial and error. So a lot of like learning from mistakes. But I think what made me successful very like once I got my first machine and I started that studio, I think what made me successful was the passion that I had. And when you look at the word passion, it doesn't mean like, hey, I'm just excited. Passion means like, what are you willing to suffer for? And I can tell you guys, I would work like insane hours in my first years. I was ready to drive 1.5 hours to do a trial session in another town just to get people involved with that. And I think that was like my willingness and my passion was really, I think, initially what what helped me making this first studio like so successful. And the clients, they felt it. They felt that I was authentic. They felt that I wasn't after their money. I wasn't after like, oh, I want to sell you this membership. They felt that I want to prove that EMS really works. I believe there's so much in it. So I made everyone like that was around me like believing in too, right? And I was just so excited about it. And that was actually like, yeah, the story of my first studio was a lot by learning by doing. I did a lot of mistakes too, you know. That's what I try to prevent now EMS studio owners and trainers today, where I say what I did, for example, we would just copy whatever we would find without researching, hey, are they actually successful? Do they know how to like actually be like, we would just try like copy everything we find, you know, any documents how to like do a studio. And that's how I learned, you know. It was like looking around, a lot of intuition, like I said, and then trial and error.
Yeah, no, that's great. And again, and not only in the EMS business, but it is true when you start your own business, doesn't matter in what field you're in, that passion and that willingness to give up a lot of other things, that's what is going to determine if you're successful or not. And again, in your case, obviously, your clients were able to feel that. So obviously, that in your case, that helped you a lot to gain that trust of your customers. Um, so I wanted to ask you in this first stage on opening up your first studio, what would you say were the biggest hurdles you have to overcome?
The fear, what if it's not like a big hurdle in the beginning was the fear, what if I'm failing, fear of failure. Fear, like, because honestly, like even my friends were like, what are you doing? Like they couldn't like, you know, not everyone was like, yeah, Jemima doing an EMS studio. No, like
Yeah.
the fear of failure, like the rejection of some of my friends who were like, that doesn't make, like, we have never heard about what about this, and is that really working, the doubters, you know.
Hmm.
And that can really throw you off, you know, when you're in that process of investing everything you have. Like, I mean, in my case, it was the money of my parents, like that was their retirement like money. um that was like, that was scary. Like, I think the biggest hurdle was the fear of failure. And then, and for me, not having the, like, back then I didn't have the business know-how that I have today. Secondly, because it's one thing to be a passionate trainer, but in order to run a successful EMS business, you kind of have to learn to become an entrepreneur. And I was like blessed that some of that, like some of that intuition for it and some of this know-how I had. But there was also like, I have never, like, there's no guideline on how to run like a studio. And the moment I hit 150 clients, and I think Kirk can definitely like confirm that, you can do a certain number of clients by yourself, and then you have to grow. That means you have to start building a team. You have to hire people. You're getting into HR, and when you have never done that before, there's a lot of mistakes you can do as a person, you know. For me, being a big people pleaser, you know, no, today, I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, I know my character defects today, but back then I was in my 20s, you know. I was like, I wasn't aware of some of how, you know, my insecurities would also attract maybe the wrong people, hiring the wrong people, wrong trainers, or people, or getting partners for the wrong reasons. And I think that was the biggest hurdles, that not understanding. I think second was the business side of it, and then the third one was like understanding, how can I say that, yeah, really understanding that you have to really invest more in your self-education in order to attract better in your business.
Absolutely.
And I feel and that's like and I close with that for that question. And I feel, and that's what I try to empower people today, that yes, invest in the EMS equipment. Go, like go buy the stuff from our Alex. It's awesome. Like go for the equipment, go for the EMS certification, but make sure that you never stop investing in your education, but specifically when it comes to the business side, because there's so much you can do wrong by building this business. You can get the wrong partners. You can do the wrong concept for you, or start the wrong company that maybe doesn't fit for you, and so on. There's a lot of legal issues, like legalism to it too. So, and that's what I would say, like make sure that you're not short when it comes to all aspects that is needed in order for you to be successful.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. Some great insight that I'm definitely gonna take with me as well. So jumping from that, obviously now moving forward, like 10, 12 years later, now you're running your own EMS consulting company. So you're helping all these entrepreneurs, personal trainers, build their own business, rather, if it's a studio, just a mobile personal trainer, working as a freelancer. So I want you to explain a little bit, what exactly do you do with your clients? How do you help them? And what does that relationship look like with your customers?
Yeah. So the most important part is like that I want to provide value. Like we want to provide value for people to get into it, because that's my way of helping like EMS technology to spread more, because that's how we can help in the end more people getting better and benefit from this technology that we're using. And through COVID, and I think everyone has a story here, everyone has a COVID story, how that impacted their life and how plans got changed and all that. But I'm a very positive person who always wants to look, okay, what came great? Like, what is the benefits, like out of this challenging time for us? Like, what is the benefits that I took out of it? And I realized that COVID, or because of COVID, and we were so restricted in certain times and we had to find new ways, I realized that there's so much more opportunity nowadays for us to understand how we can automate and scale businesses. And I'm being here total like transparent with you guys. Even like I always was chasing the secret how to scale and franchise an EMS business. And even when I was franchising, I haven't figured it out. I was like, again, copying, getting all the books, getting on franchise convention whatsoever, but I haven't figured it out. But then in COVID, in that time when I was like, again, self-educating myself, looking what does the best salespeople in the US do right now? How do they approach that? It just dawned on me. It's just like, it was a very painful also time, because I had also to face my own failures in that time, and that hurt, because I had to realize, like where I had, because I wanted to grow and I wanted so much at some point, where I had neglected clients, where did I was wrong in my whole like team building process, but by reviewing it and then looking up what others in the industry that are not like, that are generic, that are not EMS, what they're doing, it just suddenly I realized, wow. And I love that Kirk is here today on that call, Kirk, because you are like from the top athletes from this industry, and that is just like, it goes a little bit what I'm mainly trying to do today is helping EMS trainers find their niche in the niche. So find their own niche in the EMS niche to then become expert. And I'm helping them how to set up a business model that they can automate and scale, but not following the old idea of corporate or franchise. Right. I don't know if that makes sense, but I give you an example. I grew up, and my suppliers back in the days would tell me, in order for you to grow, you have to have 10 studios by yourself. Anyone who just run one operation knows that's insanity because you do not like life, because no normal person who likes as well sometimes to go to the beach or have a family or likes other hobbies is capable of doing that, because operations is super time consuming, because we're talking customer service, we're talking operations. That means you open the studio in the US. I know the guys are early raisers, like probably would like start at 5:30 in the morning, have your first session at 6, and you finish up like late in the evening, right? So corporate is not an option for you to grow EMS business, because the more studios you would start growing by yourself, that would mean your expenses are growing, and you own every person. We have all the same problem. We have only 24 hours a day, right? And then franchise, is EMS really working in a traditional, I say traditional franchise system, let's say like McDonald's or like Subway. And then if you study these systems, you figure out very soon why they make it. And there's another business, it's called real estate, that makes it possible for them to actually be profitable and attractive. So my question was like, because I honestly have never met someone who is involved in EMS training who who wasn't like excited, or at least thinking about, okay, how do I can get more, right? How can I grow this more? How can I duplicate that? Because that's when I believe, and I talk to so many people, like that's what you think about, because you realize it is such a great tool to be scaled. But how do I do that? Because franchise is not frankly working, because if you, and I have been in that experience, you give franchisees your brand, you give franchisees a good experience, like in training in the beginning. And once they have all your documents, they don't feel like happy to pay you 5% royalties every month or pay you a huge initial fee, because they say, oh, I figured that out now. I don't want to pay you anymore. So where's the value in that? And then corporate, like I said, corporate is just like very, unless you're not a huge holding company and very well structured and you already have other businesses, so how are you going to do that? And that's when I had the big aha moment where I was like, yeah, but wait a moment. Actually, there is a way of automating and scaling it, because what we don't really see yet in the whole world are EMS trainers who grab their niche, grab their expertise, and start scaling their know-how to other trainers who are also passionate, let's say, about, like top athletes, about, FBL and the FBL and that alone is so, there's so much abundance just to find in that one niche. And there's probably so much success to be done. So that was like the big aha for me, where I was like, I get it now. That's how we can start scaling businesses and helping EMS trainers and EMS suppliers and clients to get more professional support and grow this in a way that is, how can I say that? That it's actually so like that it's professional, and that it is also attractive and profitable. Because there's also one thing that I learned in the time is that there's a lot out there. They love what they do, but it's not sexy, guys. It's not attractive. Like they barely make like a really good, Let's be honest. Most of
Yeah,
trainers,
it's a hustle for sure.
right? It's like they're not financially independent. But with that model, it is definitely possible. And I think that's what I'm helping them, like finding their niche, giving them the skills, specifically the business skills like acquisition, team building skills, and then understanding which concept they want to go. And we had this, I asked you this week about your home suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are very like you already worked on that, because I know because of COVID that like so far we looked at home service concept, we looked at studios like the classical studio, we looked at shop and shop solutions, like we have this concept. But now with the home suit and with education being able to be spread over digital platforms like I do, you have a new concept that is right now growing, and where I help people, where it's like, hey, you know what, you can actually start a concept where you educate your clients, and you can literally train them over Zoom. And it's possible, and I've done it. And I think that's just the start, where also we have to start expanding our minds and ideas, where it's like, yeah, it is definitely possible. And that was, for example, Alex, one of the reasons why I asked you for your home suit,
Mm-hmm.
because I do think there is like so much potential in that.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely growing, and it's definitely doable, because that's again from our end as distributors, manufacturers. That's how we take care of our customers and how we onboard them and how we train them, and give them the knowledge to be able to operate the system and their business. So that's literally how we do it. We just organize a Zoom call, and then by means of another software, we're able to control their device, their equipment, and we can literally just train them. Doesn't matter where they are in the world. So absolutely, I think that's another niche that's about to grow very fast. Um, but yeah, no, that's awesome. So, and you work with people all over the world, or you're more focused in this part of the planet now?
No, I literally have trainers reaching out from all over the world. I'm just gonna, it's funny, this week someone reached out from New Zealand, and I was like, oh my God, like, like it, like that's like the fun part now. I have really like Canada, of course, the US, Europe, Middle East, Asia, um, Australia, New Zealand, like literally covered the whole world. That's why I told you I'm getting really good in time in time
Yeah.
planning. Who, like, where are they right now with their time, especially scheduling like live calls. Yeah, but they're like everywhere. And I know that we suffered, like the ones that started early with EMS, like my generation. I don't know if that makes sense, but my generation who started EMS back in 2009, 10, and then the following years, because there was no really proof of concept, where they could really honestly say, hey, we have figured it out and it's profitable and it works great, and we know how to hire the right trainers without them running off after 6 months, and so on and so on. Oh my God, now I lost it.
All good.
Yeah.
All good. I mean, we got a pretty good. Yeah, go ahead, Kirk.
Yeah, and another thing is that there's only a handful of nationally recognized personal training certifications. And with EMS, where I found is there, in LA, I don't know if there's, I mean, it's a lot of personal trainers, but I wouldn't, it's though a lot. And with EMS, I always found it where instead of those trainers being my competition, I can always work with them, because I'm providing a whole different service. Whether if it's somebody injured, I can help them get their client back to 100% faster, and then they'll have their client back. Or if, after a while, they're tired of their program and they want to find something new, I can work with them and they can have me come on, or just with my EMS clients, if they want to do more of traditional strength training, I can say, well, you could work with this guy. So it's a way that, you can just have, instead you can share clients and you can expose more people with that technology. So it's not as if, I'm just working with more trainers, and they're not my competition anymore. I provide a totally different service, and I'm not going to steal their client because it's so different. And so that's one of the benefits I found with having the equipment. It's just being able to service a lot different, more clients and work with trainers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I mean, even for current fitness studio, personal boutique, personal training boutique studios, I mean, nowadays that is the way to sort of differentiate yourself from the competition, because there is so much out there, so many personal trainers, so many studios, so many gyms, like Pilates studios, new concepts like hot yoga. There's a bunch here in LA. Like there's so many. So there's definitely, you need to be able to differentiate yourself in some way, in order also to be successful, and just keep up with the new trends, because nowadays the world just moves at a very fast pace. So you definitely want to make sure you keep up with that.
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, Jemima. So let's say for those listening, let's say a personal trainer or someone looking to open their new studio, that already know a little bit about EMS, but they're somewhat hesitant on making that step. What three tips would you give them?
Someone who's want to become an EMS trainer and wants to open up but is hesitant.
Yeah, so they're in the process, they're debating it, but what advice would you give them before actually diving into such a project, which, as we discussed, you need to be passionate, you need to know your why before knowing the how. So what's the most valuable advice you could give to these people?
Yeah, definitely know your why. Um, know who you want to serve. Who is your dream client? Who is gonna be your avatar? And I think it's something underestimated in the industry. I know EMS is for everyone. I'm not saying EMS is only for specific. It's for everyone, but that's how you will be able later on to automate and scale your business through your expertise in your EMS specific niche. Because EMS can help, like I said, every single niche because it's for everyone. But that's how you build your foundation in acquisition. That's how you build your foundation for later on, like expanding your business. Like that's one of the, like really like a secret that I can give you. Understand who is your dream client, with who you want to hang out all day. Who is it? And what's their problem? And how you can solve with your know-how and the great tool. Because the tool, like EMS, is your vehicle in solving your dream customer's problem. That's what it is. Like they get like the best car from you, and that's the tool, that's the car, the vehicle, however you want to call it, and solving these dream customers' problem. And that's how you maintain success. That's how you build up the foundation of a successful business. That's a huge secret. And the third one would be, I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, no, I know, and we also don't want to give away all your value. So, I mean, even you shared so much value with us today. And again, for those of you listening that are in that process, or even if you already have your current EMS business and you're experiencing some difficulties or you don't really know how to scale that, definitely reach out to Jemima because she knows what she's doing. She's done it in the past, and I've talked to her many times, and she really brings very valuable insight to the table. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you guys, if I missed anything, or if you guys wanted to share any other additional insights.
No, all good over here. I think we pretty much have it covered.
We
We're
covered it.
dealing with
Yeah,
people with a lot of
and
experience.
exactly. And we can definitely organize another one in the future. Hopefully, we get a lot of questions out of this and we can come up with different topics to answer those questions. But yeah, so what I'll do here, I'll just add in a link and in the details under the video all our contact information, because actually right here I think we make a pretty good team because I provide the tools, Jemima provides her knowledge on how to start that business, and Kirk is here with me also helping develop and onboard all these people. So definitely a very competitive team we have right here. So I'll
And
make sure to share all of our information with this video. And yeah, I mean, I cannot thank you guys enough for joining me today.
thank you, Alex. And I
Yep.
wanted to say as well, like as a gift, like when you wanna put in the link of my website, everyone can download for free. It doesn't cost anything. Like a 7-step guide that definitely helps you a bunch with any trial session, like how to transform like a trial session into like your next dream customer. It's a document that I have developed over all these years and that I used as well to train my staff. So it's free for your clients, for yourself, Kirk, when you're still like operating. I hope that is going to help you too. So you can download that for free and hope that it's going to help you, especially in the beginning or in your day-to-day like trial sessions, or it can even help when you have a prospect for the equipment, because it's kind of the same process of the initial EMS trial session.
No, exactly. Well, I'll make sure
Thank
to
you.
follow that too, for sure.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. Well, again, thank you so much. And we'll definitely be in touch and hopefully we can get another one of these done sometime soon.
Okay, thank you
All
guys.
right.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.